Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, a YouTube channel and podcast made by Celtic fans all over the world for Celtic fans all over the world. From Gorgie to the Gorbals, Leith to Lanarkshire, wherever you happen to be watching from, you're very much part of A Celtic World. And who do we have with us today? Well, two very different places, it's fair to say. The hustle and bustle of Bangkok, where David finds himself. Hello, David. Sawadee Kap.
Hey Gav, how are you?
Sabai Mai.
Yeah, neat noi, which is pretty much okay. We're in the middle of the heat wave is just about starting. We had about 3 weeks where it was pretty chilly. I think I mentioned a few weeks ago it went down as far as like 18 degrees at 7 o'clock in the morning, but those halcyon days are long gone, sadly. It's back up to 30, 32 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning, so sweaty times here.
And over to another sweaty, sleazy city in Cardiff, where Ian finds himself. Hello, Ian.
Cardiff's a very modern and progressive city. Thank you very much, Gav. But we've got, we get the sun. We get none of the heat. We get the sun, which is nice. You can actually tell. I think it started to come out about like last Friday. Everyone just generally seems in a better mood. You know, even things like the school run, you're seeing smiles on faces of people who've been miserable for the last 3 or 4 months. So we don't have the heat, but we do have a little bit of sun, which is nice.
Well, bringing a little bit of sunshine into all our lives are all the viewers, of course, who are watching right now. It's good to see you, many regulars in. And today's a very participative episode because we're going to have lots of fun and games later. Well, I may as well tell you what's coming up. Good a time as any. First of all, we're going to start off with a very serious VAR review, which will be interesting, and a word from David on what's going on in Thailand quite soon, of a Celtic nature. Then we're going to preview the Hibs game, obviously, which is absolutely massive. Can't be overstated. Well, can, but we won't do that. And then we'll talk a little bit about Sevco and Jose Mourinho and other things like that. And what I referenced just now was this Celtic quiz. We're going to do a little quiz against the viewers, contributors versus viewers. So that'll be fun. You're looking forward to that, Ian?
I think I'll be a hindrance more than a help. I've got terrible knowledge, unless it's the Martin O'Neill period when I was like absolutely obsessed with every granular detail. I'm terrible.
Well, it's just going to be like, what we did last week, that catchphrase thing, Celtic players in pictorial form. So
I might be all right at that. Like, to be honest with you, I watched that and some of it, I was bamboozled.
Bamboozler. All right, so that's what's coming up. So first thing we've got to talk about then is the VAR review. Now, you might be wondering what this is. Well, on Monday's show, I made the mildly amusing observation that there was a St Mirren player who had a name that sounded like a surprising pasta. And I was referencing Olasanya. But this was immediately and brutally shut down by Stephen McCutcheon on the basis that his name was Obasanya, and therefore the gag was a complete dud. And it seemed to me at the time that Brian was in agreement with this, and I was isolated. So I felt well and truly silenced and deeply humiliated in front of the watching public, as you can imagine. However, the exciting news is this. Legal counsel in the form of Paul Massey, KC, has resolutely ridden to my defense, sending this on the WhatsApp group. The guy's name is Olasanya. I wasn't wrong. And you can see what he says at the bottom there. The joke should have stood, poor overruled by Steve on VAR. All right. And then this is from our group chat. You can see Paul saying, you can get Ian to be Willie Collum tomorrow. Stephen stands by the on-field decision that it was a pish joke. Paul, rather disappointingly, says agreed, but at least it made sense. And I said it was a factual overrule based on guesswork. And Stephen finally then says, clear and obvious error. All right. So, Ian, you're stepping into Willie Collum's shoes today. Hope that's something that sounds interesting to you.
Well, I mean, in true Willie Collum form, I have to go, that was an error by, and then bring in like some other body that rules on stuff like that and just try and completely confuse the situation before saying, I agree with you, Gav. It's a brave man that goes up against Gav on pronunciations. I think anyone who watches the show regularly knows that.
Well, we're not talking about
there's no one more meticulous over the pronunciation of a name than Gav. And, you know, I'm sorry, Steve, but I got to side with Gav in this. Even, I think, you know, now the caveat is wherever the origin of the name Olasanya is from, however they pronounce it, where the name origin comes from, maybe there's like a different pronunciation, but then you get into territory of Henri and Henry, and I think it's a perfectly valid joke, and I think on the information that we have, I will Willie Collum and say I side with Gav in this one.
Brilliant. That's all I wanted to hear. Henrik McLaughlin joining in there. Surely Olasanya should play at the Tony Macaroni.
I should say I'm loath to side with you, Gav. I'm loath to side with you. I'd love to have sided with Steve just to wind you up, but I got to,
I know that, but the facts are on my side. So, you happy with that, David? Happy with that outcome?
Well, I'm not sure if I want to be the main arbiter here for the joke police. I think if we were to start arguing about how funny our patter is, I also thought at the time it was Tony Macaroni. I hadn't really understood the joke at the time, but I can see where you went with it. But it's not really a hill that I want to stand up or kill myself on, or whatever the cliche is. So,
seems like it's a hollow victory for Gav, is what you're saying.
It's not a hill you want to die on, but it's the hill upon which today's episode will probably die as people abandon us in their droves after the first couple of minutes. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad about that. Let's move on with it. David, tell us what's going on in Thailand that's relevant to Celtic fans in the very near future.
Well, Gav, I'm glad you asked me that. In 10 days' time, we have our Thailand Asian convention. So we have 3 nights of fun and festivities in Bangkok at O'Shea's, the home of the world-famous Bangkok Celtic Supporters Club. And if people are still alive and kicking, after we've gone 19 points clear on the Sunday, then the convention will move on to Hua Hin, 2.5-hour drive from Bangkok, for another 5 days of fun and frolicking and festivities. So in terms of Bangkok, next Friday, we'll be having Gary Jameson, a fabulous singer who we're bringing across from Australia. I think he's a member of Paul's CSC. And then Saturday night, we're having a Q&A session with the legend that is Didier Agathe. And after that, we've got again some more music, and then Sunday we've got the fairly dull, quiet game that is the Huns game, where we go 19 points clear, having won by a barrel load of goals. But again, Gary is going to do like an hour or so before the game to just in case we need some encouragement to enjoy ourselves before we absolutely batter Sevco. So 3 days, 3 nights of fun, and as I say, like just to be clear on the VAR, I always supported doing that because you're very kindly, allowing me to bore people about how fabulous this event is going to be. So it's a pity you can't make it, Gav and Ian, but it's going to be a fantastic 3 nights in Bangkok.
Well, it sounds like a very affluent CFC that you're flying in folk from all over the world and stuff like that. We're the Cardiff CSCs, puts on some food at half time. You're jetting folk in. Very daily record.
what can I say? What can I say, Ian?
But by the way, if you have a Gat, I'll be disappointed if he doesn't get asked the two questions. Is he faster than Maeda, or who would win in the race? Because I think that's a stick on. And endurance-wise, who has more endurance? I suspect recency bias might have Maeda down for both, but it'll be interesting to see what a Gat thinks.
I was going to put it out to the viewers, if you have any questions for Didier Gat, maybe drop them in the comments and we'll see if we can put them to him at the event.
And especially Christophe, if you want to ask any questions in French, I can do the interpretation for for the team. Didier's been to our club a few times, so I did French as my main degree at university. So I do I'll be doing the interpretation for the harder thinking. So please, any questions you've got would be absolutely fantastic. And if any of you are able to make it to Bangkok, it would be an absolute pleasure to let you buy me a drink. So venez nombreux and enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Very good. All right. I can see the people in the comments are going crazy for Ian's hair. And do you want to offer an explanation for your hair? You're getting all sorts of abuse. Have you had one of those high pressure hoses? You see people doing that?
Actually, so like a long story short was during this is how my hair actually always was. During the pandemic, though, obviously I couldn't get it cut, so it started to become pretty bad. So I decided to shave it, do a buzz cut, and it looked like, there's no other way to describe it. I looked like I was terminally ill. So I started wearing caps to make myself feel a bit better, and then I was just I just kind of constantly worn caps since the pandemic. And then, I think I might have mentioned on a previous show, I got some feedback in my annual review that perhaps the cap was off-putting to certain people. So because I am in the UK, obviously I do this during my working hours. So I've stopped wearing the cap for work, and I've gone back to my normal hairstyle to present a more corporately pleasing aesthetic for people.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of pleasing, Monty suggests you're going for the Cameron Diaz look. That's not part of your pre-podcast routine, is it?
Yeah, well, this was flat until 5 minutes before, and then it was only the thought of coming in the podcast that gave me the juice I needed to.
Only the thought of coming on the podcast, dear, oh dear. All right, okay, come on, we really need to move it on, lads. Let's get on with the chat about the big game. This is the thumbnail for today's show. Best in Scotland quarterfinal. Well, would you go along with that for a start, David?
Sure. Yeah, it's the two teams that are in the best of form. I think if we've got anything to prove, it's against the last team to beat us. I think we want to. I seem to recall when we played Aberdeen in the semi-final, they were the last team that we had something to prove against, and we destroyed them 6-0. So I'm looking forward to us taking this game very seriously. It's pretty much the only meaningful game we have. If we don't win this game, that's obviously we can't win the treble. So the league's done and dusted. So I'm sure that Brendan's going to take this game and show Hibs the respect that they deserve. Bring it on.
Bring it on, indeed. Here's a tweet. Absolutely love that Hibs are going to take 7,000 to Celtic Park. Given the chances Celtic have been giving up in games recently and not forgetting Hibs beat them just 2 weeks ago, this one has all the makings of an absolute classic. That is something you see echoed in various places, including Maestro. Going to be a belter of a game. You think it's going to be a belter of a game, Ian? Are all the ingredients there?
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it will be a belter of a game. But I think David's right to mention Aberdeen. It was the same thing when we were coming up against Aberdeen. And then that's really when our quality and mentality shone through. Because, like we're saying, this is probably the biggest game that we've got left, unless we get to a semi and then a final. But this is in terms of the fixtures we have, the biggest game we've got, and expect the team to step up. I know a lot of people have said they're the last team to beat us. I think obviously, that should have been a draw at least. If Alan Muir wasn't trying to help out his fellow brothers on that. So, I think that skewed it slightly. I think it is the markings of a good game. I would expect us to be home and the sort of form that we're in and the mentality we have and the quality we have to probably win it. I think there's a chance that we could win it comfortably because we are used to dealing with this sort of pressure. Hibs are not. Same way that Aberdeen, weren't used to kind of dealing with that pressure. So there's different things. On paper, yes, be a really competitive game, but it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that pressure, our quality, our mentality and stuff like that. So let's see. You're on mute, Gav.
Sorry, there was a siren going past. Let's go back to this image then and talk about our danger men of the moment are probably those two. The mighty Yang suddenly is, a legend. And obviously Maeda's in red hot form for a longer period. Are these other two on the other side of that image, David, the danger men for you?
The guy from the what was that Phantom of the Opera?
Jean
David
Valjean.
and Jean Valjean. We're getting all the French stuff out today.
Yeah.
We just need the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and we've got the full bingo card. I think Boyle is is someone we need to be careful about. He's quite speedy. I think my fear, I don't know if the man in the mask was Campbell. Campbell is my wife's maiden name. So when he scored twice the other
Campbell.
week.
What's his name, man? Nicky Cadden?
No idea. I know who Boyle is. Sorry, I'm very self-eccentric.
They have a pair of brothers that play for them on either wing. Yeah, it's Cadden, isn't it? Nicky Cadden?
Cadden, yeah. Yeah, he's a good player, actually.
He's in good form.
Yeah, but the right back, I mean, again, we'll have, pace to burn either side. So I don't expect that to be a big issue as long as we treat the game well. I wouldn't be playing Yang to start with. I'd be looking at Jota and Kuhn to keep their wing backs in their place.
Okay, you wouldn't be starting Yang. What about you, Ian? Is the team going to pick itself?
I don't know. I think we're in a different scenario. I think this is the first time the players have had a substantial amount of rest. And we're going to have a substantial... When I say substantial, I mean it's a week-to-week game as in not 2 games a week. So it'll be interesting to see. We should probably have everyone kind of fully fit and firing. I think those are the decisions, though. I think is it Maeda in the middle? Is it Ida in the middle? Or is it Yang out wide? Is it Kuhn out wide? I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think the rest of the team pretty much picks itself. I think, I don't know if everyone agrees, but I think Taylor is probably now behind Schlupp. And I think when we're talking about, defending our wings, Schlupp's a much better option there. And I think we're kind of seeing that, just that height and physicality is really a massive benefit over Taylor. So I think the rest of the team picks itself. And I think, yes, it's going to be across that front three that decisions are going to be made. I would think, given it's an important one, I would expect Jota, Maeda, and Kuhn. I would expect that because I think Rodgers will say that's the area that we can cause them the most problems.
You got a feel for Adam Ida. He says he wants to be the main man, and when Kyogo went, that was it. That was his great chance. And no sooner has Kyogo gone that he's straight back into second position behind Maeda, which was something that Rodgers kind of suggested he didn't really want to do, but his hand has been forced by Maeda's brilliance in that position, David. Is he forever always the bridesmaid, never the bride?
It's a no-brainer for me. I think it reminds me of when we had Lee Griffiths, who, was playing well, but then Dembele came onto the scene and Griffiths was quickly despite scoring 100 goals for us, it was clear that Dembele was, the far superior player. And here it's the same thing. I think Ida played well for a month or so after Kyogo left. But the difference between him and Maeda in the last 2 or 3 weeks is night and day. And for me, this is the only really important game. Obviously, we win this one, then the semi-final is the next important game. But we have to play our strongest team, and that has to be Maeda in the centre forward. He brings so much to the game. Jota and Kun. I think Kun's got something to prove, which is quite bizarre, as I thought he was a shoo-in to be the player of the year in his first few months. But I expect Kun to be absolutely flying for this game. Jota's getting better game by game. And with Maeda up front, I think, as one of the guys said in the chat, it's going to be a pump fest.
Do you know? I think there's a place for Ida. I think there is, and I think we've seen this season. I know he's not had the same sort of return as last season. He's definitely improved in certain aspects. His hold-up play has definitely improved over the course of this season. Running into the channels and stuff like that. So he is incrementally improving. But I think the problem is Maeda is ready-made to suit the press and to kind of be the focal point for the team. And I don't think Ida is ever going to be the player that, runs all day and does that. So I think he's probably got to have a chat with Rodgers about what his position is. Because I think if he can actually improve in areas he's good at, like, holding the ball up, running into the channels and stuff like that, there's definitely going to be games where he would make more sense over Maeda. But he just has to be ready and in the position where his skill set is at a level that he is chosen in those games, versus Maeda just simply based on the kind of press. He needs to make it so that when it comes to those games, like possibly like a Rangers game, that he has his skill set to be there. Maeda's moved out wide, but at the moment, I just don't think he's there to kind of make that justification. But I think the evidence shows he is improving. Rodgers has a history of improving players, so let's see how he gets on.
Rodgers, the manager, has a history of improving players. How about their manager? Second Manager of the Month award this season for David Gray.
I don't know if you have it, Gav. Do you have? But have you seen the rumours going around that Rangers fans? Well, not rumours, but like they're actually all commenting, worried that Hibs could actually secure second because of the form they're in and the way the manager's got them set up, and wondering that if we win this cup game and we win the Derby game, that we might decide to throw a few games to help Hibs get to second. That's the latest conspiracy theory. So, they're obviously worried that Hibs could get second. And I think a lot of that, going back to your point about David Gray, I think a lot of that's to do with the manager. Could easily have gone off the rails with kind of some of the early season form, etc. But he's kind of stuck through, found a system that works, managed to get a couple of players back into form, made some decent signings. So I think a decent manager, especially at SPFL level. Be interesting to see just how far he can go with that Hibs team, because it's been a long time. It's probably like, I don't know, maybe Soze sort of era that Hibs were really a big force and really competitive consistently. So let's see.
Explain to me how after the cup game and the Glasgow Derby, how we could throw games. How is that going to affect who comes second?
Because, for example, we'll have to play Hibs. I believe it's. I think we've got once before this, once after.
Games, of course, yeah.
So we would just then chuck those two games,
right,
giving Hibs an automatic 6 points. I don't know why they're worried about this, because they've got Barry Ferguson, who understands football and who drives an orange Ranger. So I mean, you know. He's getting name checked by Jose Mourinho. I mean, I don't know what they've got to worry about.
And the 49ers might have released 100 million by then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, don't know why they're concerned about it.
You wonder how far he's going to go with Hibs then, David Gray. They're to be congratulated for sticking with him, you have to say, because he was looking like he was on a shookily peg, as they say in your part
You
of
have
the
a
world.
choice, Gav. How many times have they changed manager over the last couple of years? I think we're almost into double digits.
Well, some clubs do that. But I don't know if you saw this, David. David Gray's one of the few men on a short list to be the next Swansea manager. Ian, that's exciting for you as well. David, do you think that's a nonsense short-termism, bit of journalism there?
I think it shows the panic that Sevco are in just now, that anyone that's remotely a challenge to them, they're now, they're now trying to, hopefully that the Hibs bubble is going to burst. I can't imagine that David Gray would be that interested in going to Swansea. I think one of the reasons why he was kept in the job a bit longer than some is that he's got a lot of credit in the bank after the Scottish Cup final where he was the captain. So I would expect him to be in charge for a good while. As I say, it's just a pity that Ferguson is such a marvellous manager, etc. That that they're not going to manage to overcome that deficit. But no, seriously, the Huns are in free fall. I think that that they couldn't beat Queen's Park, they couldn't beat St Mirren, they couldn't beat Motherwell, they couldn't beat whoever else is they've lost against. I think they are quite right to be worried. But bring it on.
Dave, Ian, do you want to stick up for Swansea here and say there's every reason why he would want that move?
I got a couple of pals who are Swansea fans, and I don't think that would be a move for David Gray. I wouldn't want to join the club at the moment. They had, ironically, they had American investors, and it hasn't worked out too well for them because they didn't invest back into the team. We don't know where we've heard that story before, but yeah. So if I was David Gray, I'd be looking for, if he's going to move from Hibs, because like we said, he's got a lot in the bank, and he's got a decent bit of buildings of a team. He's got decent players there. I think he would be looking for a more attractive option to kind of go down south. And there are those clubs, down there. There are because there's investment all the time, etc. I think he'll want to pick and choose the right one because he's got a good thing going on at Hibs.
Just a quick message here from what I can see in the chat. Tam Mack apparently has been in hospital recently, but is back home and is getting lots of good wishes from fellow viewers. So we would like to echo that. Good luck on your recovery. Hope it all goes smoothly. Yeah. What's this a quote from? No idea.
Pretty shitty city.
It's a movie where a couple of brothers in Swansea talk about it being a pretty shitty city, which is their version of a Dylan Thomas quote, twisted version of a Dylan Thomas quote. One of the guys was the guy in Notting Hill. You know that guy? He used to be in Super Furry Animals.
Rhys Evans, or
yeah, Rhys Evans. I can't remember the name of the movie. What's the name of that film, Kaiser? Drop it in the chat.
Twin Town?
Twin Town, yes, absolutely. Twin brothers. Got there in the end. And the quiz hasn't even started. All right, well, we're talking about form, and we showed this on Monday's show. There you go. They're the two farm teams in the country.
Yeah, our one should be that loss. That should be a draw. And Hibs should have a draw in there as well. But, when you will put people in the lodge on VAR, these things will happen.
Can you imagine if Hibs beat Rangers by 1 point and it's all because of Muir, given that that would be just, oh my goodness, that would just be karma.
Poetic justice. Did you watch the Edinburgh Derby, either of you, the other day?
No, I heard it was a good one, though. I heard the coverage was pretty good, apparently, from Sky, which is...
Have you seen Twin Town?
No, I've not seen. I know of Twin Town just because I don't know if it is Welsh or just because it's got him in it, but people always mention it down here.
It is Welsh.
I'll put it on the list.
And then give us a review, and we'll go through your review with a fine-tooth comb. Sorry, David, you were saying?
Yeah, I can't remember. While you're talking about films that you want to see, if you definitely want a film that you must avoid, I watched Fight and Flight on Sky the other night, and it was horrifically bad. So probably not up to your standards of movies to watch, but it was absolutely dreadful.
Good.
While we're on the subject, Ian, have you seen One Man and His Dog?
Frequently, when I go to the Valleys, I see One Man and His Dog about the place. But is that a film as well?
Must be. But the Edinburgh Derby, it was very entertaining and was won by a brilliant goal from Iredale. And you can see this tweet here. Who else reacted like this after he hit it? That's a great picture, isn't it? Got to be happy with that.
Yeah, they've got a really bad record, though, Hibs, don't they, in the Derby, like in general, even home and away. Like, I think Hearts are very much, especially in recent years, in the win column. So I think, again, this is why David Gray's getting so much praise, because he is doing really, really well.
Pete McGee was in Notting Hill, lived there for 3 years. Nice part of London. Okay, moving it on then. Lisbon Lion puts out a good tweet here. In 2013, Celtic again met Hibs in the cup final. Celtic, wearing an unusual black away kit, won 3-0 with Hooper and Stokes on good form. Stokes would go on to lead Hibs to glory in 2016, whilst Hibs' Lee Griffiths would join Celtic and score over 100 goals for the club. That's a nice little bit of historical context. Memories of that game?
Nice strip, that one.
Yeah.
Remember it well.
You recall that game, David, 2013?
Well, I remember the cup final where Hibs won with Stokes scoring 2 goals, and who was the midfielder that put in
Henderson?
Liam?
Was it Liam Henderson?
It was certainly Henderson who put in the 2 crosses. So I was in Pattaya that weekend, and desperately tried to find a pub to watch it, but had to have a drink elsewhere, sadly. But fantastic weekend that was.
Yes, you're right, Monty. Notting Hill or somewhere around there, wasn't it? Ladbroke Grove is where Rillington Place was. The famous movie starring Dickie Attenborough that gives me my nickname on this pod. Well, according to Monty, anyway. Sunshine on Leith was belted out in 2016. They're going on about that a lot, aren't they? Is this the best anthem? Is it the best anthem?
I think this is very 2025 clickbait. This is the way to do it, and Sky are slowly perfecting this because they know that, for example, there's loads of anthems in different clubs and things like that. So you just say, "Oh, this is the best one," and they'll probably, they'll be like, "You Never Walk Alone" will be sung at like the Liverpool one, and then they'll say, "Is this the best anthem?" And then they'll try and get us to say, "Oh no, you've stolen that from us," and things like that. I think undoubtedly it's a good one, isn't it? I mean, I think anywhere where you have all the fans engaged is a good one. But again, with these sort of debates, it's such a personal opinion. It depends what it's attached to for you. And I'm sure to all the Hibs fans, it is one of the greatest anthems.
Well, there's something very emotional about thousands of fans singing thank you repeatedly to their football team. Isn't there, David? I mean, that would stir.
Yeah, and I think, I think to be fair, all of us who very much enjoy this podcast, they understand the importance of people singing in tune. So, yeah.
Oh dear. Sorry, you're breaking up, David. I'm going to have to continue just with Ian.
I think the thing is, Gav, is like if anyone has been to a Champions League night at Celtic Park with You'll Never Walk Alone being belted out by 60,000, I think, there's a mixture of, is it a good tune? Yeah, it's a great tune. Is it, is it good atmosphere and stuff like that? But I mean, I'd be hard pushed. I can't say I've been to many big derbies of like other clubs to be able to kind of match it. But I know you'll never walk alone in a Champions League night. I would love someone to have been to that and then go to the other ones and then come back and see which is the best. Because I think there'd only be one winner.
Yeah.
And Hibs obviously are always leaning into it. And here's the Proclaimers, Craig and Charlie, two guys who look permanently like they're absolutely freezing, don't they? I mean, even if they were in Thailand by the pools with you in Bangkok, David, they'd still look frozen stiff, wouldn't they?
Well, I think with their skin colour, they would probably have to keep their jumpers on anyway. I think anything above 18 degrees, they would probably burn to a crisp.
Always two guys that look fairly happy as well. There's no danger of mistaking them for Rangers fans or managers because they're always like relatively jolly.
Oh, they're very likeable. Very likeable. Here's a question Pete McGee asks. Would you join in if Hibs fans started singing Sunshine on Leith? I mean, you can't join in.
Well, I mean, if we're 3-0 up, you can, just have a wee sing-along. Depends on the score, doesn't it?
No, that would be wrong.
They didn't even get going for singing Sunshine on Leith when they went ahead in the cup final with Kyogo, did they? Because they went ahead and they were just all getting excited and then Kyogo, bam. So if they get the opportunity to sing it, then you need to. That's not going to be good for us.
Yeah. To paraphrase Roy Aitken, when he was asked, did he know the words of the sash? He says he only knew the first line because by that time Celtic had usually scored. And I think with Kyogo, I think they'd started the first line of My Heart Was Broken when Kyogo went and broke their hearts. So I think we probably only know one line of Sunshine and Leith.
Another super drink along on Sunday, asks Christoph. Kaiser replies, yes, Christoph, legend. Just a quick note on that. We're sort of thinking to sort of rebrand the drink along a bit and make it a bit less of a drink along, although I heard David was jumped in with both feet, making it a drink along recently.
I was not that, David. Can I just point out, I was not that, David.
Oh, what David were they talking about?
I knew you thought that was me. My reputation precedes me. No, if you look back at that particular one, you'll find it was there's more than one David who's a very much more important member of the a Celtic world than I am.
It was KL David, or was it?
It was KL David, but it's nice to know that you thought I was living up to the fine reputation that I have developed over the years.
Well, the idea is we want to sort of call it something more appropriate for, just a bunch of Celtic fans getting together to watch the game. Now, what is typical of that? What is a bunch of Celtic fans getting together to watch a game? That's what a CSC is. So the idea being that we're like worldwide CSC. We don't have a specific locale. That's the idea. So one thing I'd like to do for the thumbnails is gather pictures of as many people as possible, viewers and everything, and put them on the thumbnail. If you're willing to, send us a picture of yourself in a Celtic top or not. It's up to you. I've already got, say, Christoph. We know what he looks like. 420 from his recent picture. I could put both of them in, plus a bunch of our faces, and make it look like a collective. So if you're watching and if you're in the chat there, Who's the Snitch and Maestro and Alpha and Square Sausage and Tam Mac, send us a picture of yourself to any of the.
How would they do that, Gav? How would they do that?
Well, it's very easy.
You've got to give people instruction.
Well, there's a ticker running along the bottom of the screen at all times, which includes email and Twitter and Blue Sky and Facebook and Instagram, any of those means.
And can I just say, Monty, we don't need any sinister DMs from you with body organs, because you have marked yourself as the sort of person that may be sending someone standing to attention. So none of that, Monty. Thank you.
I don't quite know what that means.
Yeah, if you are sending body organs, I understand from Ian that he's missing one or two. So,
Yeah.
so
If anyone's got a large intestine,
Kaiser has one of him and Big Dez. Okay, we'll use that one then if Kaiser sends it to me. Well, Monty's suggesting he wears his gimp suit. Is that what you're sort of referring
well,
to?
I mean, there we go, isn't it? That's it, Gav. The DMs and Twitter now are just going to be filled with objectionable content.
Well, not suitable for work is fine. So, just send whatever you fancy. I can edit as appropriate for the thumbnail. That'd be great, Alpha. Anyone who fancies it, that would be great. Men, women, and everyone in between. All right, let's move the conversation on then a little bit and talk about Jose. Did you see this interview? Someone mentioned that in the comments earlier.
that was really funny.
What were the highlights of it?
What I loved the most was how he basically pretended he couldn't remember Philip Clement's name and all this, and then literally in the same breath went and completely two-footed both him and his philosophy and how crap he was as a Rangers manager, and then pretending to struggle to remember Barry Ferguson's name. The thing is, that Jose Mourinho knows absolutely everything, and he's just played that pitch perfectly, and it will have wound up all the right people. So, fair play, well done to him.
Yeah.
Yes, we do need ladies as well, Monty. Any of the ladies out there, Cara, Sarah, you name it. Send us your pics. And, oops, didn't mean to show that. Not sure what that means. Yeah, so David, he was asked would he ever end up managing one of the teams, the big two in Scotland. What did you make of his response?
I thought his response was perfect because, he started off by basically saying, first of all, Brendan, he knows Brendan's name. He knows how good a manager Brendan is. And, but, Brendan's doing a great job at Celtic. And then it was almost a footnote that, and then Rangers have got Ferguson, again, pretending probably that he didn't realise what a footballing legend and managerial guru that Barry is. So, I think a lot of the Rangers fans are saying that he was basically saying, he's going to be the next Rangers manager. But I think he was basically saying that, there's only two clubs in Scotland. Celtic is managed well by a great manager, and the other one not so much. So, I thought he was basically putting himself in the frame to be the next Celtic manager rather than potentially, being willing to sign up for them.
I mean, if we indulge in the Daily Record fantasy of the takeover of Rangers going really well and everything being sunshine and them becoming a world dominating club or whatever sort of thing, I apart from the fact that Rafael Benitez is the one that's going to take over, let's not forget that. I think Mourinho would probably gravitate to the team that is most successful at the time, because I think that's, he talks about the passion as well. And I think, there's no doubt Celtic and Rangers are two very passionate clubs in very different ways. And I think we know the different ways. And I kind of think is even as much as the, kind of banter that Jose likes to indulge in, I don't think he would ever be a fit for Rangers, because I don't really think, even with the takeover and stuff, I don't think they'd like the sort of honesty that he would bring, or a genuine respect or dignity that he tends to bring to stuff. He does have some wild moments in him, which I think could make him attractive. But I think if you were saying which club would he prefer to manage, I think there would only be one answer. I think he was probably being quite diplomatic.
Yeah, he's not too keen on the bullshit. He calls out bullshit, doesn't he? And that place is dripping in it. And of course, as Brian pointed out, he takes communion every single day, Jose. So, might that influence his decision? Who knows? On another point, Kaiser asks here, I thought that Love Glasgow pod lady was coming on. Yeah, I reached out to her to try and make a connection and see if she would come on for a laugh and tell us all about her love for Celtic and Glasgow and everything. But got no reply. And in fact, I've reached out to so many females to try and get them on this show and have been completely unsuccessful. Unlike my private life, I've been completely unsuccessful with women. And, Pete McGee makes a good point. He says, some people take the abuse too far. Some really great women have been hunted out of other pods, like Axom and TCW. And he's right. And there is a real difference between, a guy coming on and talking, saying whatever he wants to say, getting a bit of abuse compared to a woman coming on and receiving abuse. The nature of the abuse and how it is dealt with as well. So it's just really, really hard. I just simply cannot get a woman on this show, try as I might.
No, I think that's fair points, isn't it, Gav? I think the problem you have is, like, unfortunately, some of the prominent ones, when they, there's a couple of prominent ones, not just within Celtic, but within kind of football in general, that do say mad stuff, and then they're always held up as the standard of what women pundits and commentators, etc., are, which isn't the reality. It's just they're the minority, but they're held up as the majority. Whereas with and because I guess it's a male-dominated field, the bad ones aren't held up as the standard because there's more to kind of choose from and stuff like that. So it's understandable. It's a shame, but I think you would need to be a really thick-skinned female to take some of the abuse that kind of comes your way, because it's not nice, but it's where we are as a society, unfortunately.
And where are we as a society according to Square Sausage Mick? He suggests I cross-dress. I mean, I'm willing to do anything for Celtic World, so I'll put it on the to-do list. How's that? The times we have. All right, 47 minutes. All right, now it's time for a quiz. So what is this all about? Well, listen up, people who are watching as the car alarm goes off. Bad timing. Okay, we're going to have a little game. Contributors, as in David and Ian, versus the viewers. Now, the viewers are at a natural handicap here. Number one, because they have to type the answer. That takes longer. And there may also be a slight delay, who knows, compared to what you're saying, you two. So we'll alternate questions between each team. Viewers may steal a point by answering correctly in live chat, by typing the answer correctly before you two do. But contributors may not steal a viewer's question, right? So that's the handicap system. Only if viewers cannot answer will it be thrown over to contributors. Okay? So these are, catchphrase. Do
you have a name for it yet, Cav? Have you got a catchy name?
Say what you see. I don't know. These are Celtic players in pictorial form. What do you want to go for?
Don't know. We need to think. All suggestions welcome to name the quiz.
I haven't thought
because you need to get it branded up so no one else steals it.
For fairness, we will randomize the choices. So contributors go first. So contributors, whoever's the first to type, pick a number between 1 and 23. Let's see
7.
what the first response
It's going to be 7, isn't it?
No. 17, says Kaiser. Okay, 17. I'm choosing 17. Oh, jeez. The funny one to start with. Okay, we've already got 17. You can stop answering. So this is for the viewers. And we'll give you some time to come up with which player this is. Don't say anything, contributors. Oh, dear. This is fun, isn't it? Just silence. Can anyone think of this? What player is this? Is a player's name in pictorial form.
I mean, I know it's a Liverpool player, but
is that all you know?
Yeah, I mean, I could have a guess as to who it might be.
Well, don't.
Is it a defender?
No, he was a midfield maestro. And he was a bit overweight.
Held
And
by his
slow
belly.
moving. Yeah. And he was Danish. They've already mentioned his first name. Okay, the correct answer is in, but it's not fully given.
Very good. Yep.
Jan Vinegar of Hazelink.
What's the off
Right,
switch
yeah.
for then?
Of
Oh, Christ.
Jan Vinegar of Hazelink. So that's the standard we're dealing with here. All right. So we'll go back to the contributors and ask for your random number between 1 and 23.
7.
7, you say? Okay, this is for contributors. Could I ask everyone to be quiet in the comments, please? So that and don't look at the comments, contributors.
So we've got a carpet and a back scratcher and a fat belly. Belly carpet scratch. Belly mat scratch. Mat back.
God, I thought these were pretty easy.
Rug back.
Matt O'Reilly.
No, just say what you see. Say what you see. Matt O'Reilly's good, but it's not right. What's happening on the right of the screen here?
Pinch.
It's a back scratcher.
No, David. I shouldn't be giving you help. Okay, all right. You may steal, people in the comments. I forgot about that. You may steal. If anyone gets it.
Someone said Harold Brat pack. Don't think that's it.
No.
A back scratcher. Someone with scratch.
You were correct, David, about what you said about this. What did you say, David?
Pinch.
This is close, but it's not right.
Tom Rogic.
Pinch.
Is the right answer Tommy Rogic?
Wait, so where's Tom come from then?
Tommy.
Oh, Tom, jeez. Oh.
Tommy Rogic. This is not going as well as I'd hoped.
The most obscure Celtic quiz in the world. Now that's the branding for it. The most obscure Celtic quiz in the world.
Okay. Well, let's go back over to the viewers. Pick another number between 1 and 23. Type it in there. 1 and 23. It was Rogic, Cara. Yes, Tommy Rogic. Number 3, Kaiser's on the ball. Okay, let's go for number 3. This is for the viewers at home. Not a hard one.
Oh,
Not for you, for the viewers at home.
I know, but we need to give a bit of commentary. Don't give, otherwise it's just silence looking at a screen.
Yeah, rule 101 of podcasting: don't allow for dead silences.
Who's the band?
Just put all the elements together.
Well, who's the band?
Yeah, everyone's in. Everyone gets it. Henrik Larsson.
The Laz.
Yeah. Henrik Larsson. See? Everyone's getting it. So easy. Now that you're getting into the swing of it, you see. Now that you understand what the how it's done. All right. Next one, random number from you two.
15.
15. Again, not a hard one.
Well, given that the last one I thought was the moon rather than the sun, I think I'll leave this to Ian to get right.
Well, Piper. What was he called again? Doc? From Back to the Future, Doc, what was he?
What's his name? Come on. Who's the snitch? Is loving this.
I've got no idea. Piper, someone, bag, pipes, pipe. Do we have anyone that's called like?
Who is the guy from Doc Who?
Don't know. Doc, someone.
Well, that's kind of important.
Doc. No idea.
Oh, we've got the answer. We've got the right answer. Scott Brown.
Oh, great.
Yes, Big Des is given the detail here. Look at that. Emmett Brown. That's his real
There we
name.
go. We give it the benefit of Google.
People are getting it left, right, and centre. Doc Brown. All right, back to you, viewers. Give us your. I don't know how many we're going to do. I've lost track of this. Give us your random number. People watching at home. What's the score, by the way?
2-1.
The score's not important in these things, I don't think.
The doc name was
It's participating
Brown, yeah.
that's important.
You see, people are watching at slightly different times. That's the thing. It's kind of well. First number came in was number 1. Okay, this is a good one. Number 1, and this is for the people back home. How do we get rid of that comment?
Yeah, I got that one.
No, lost on me.
No, this is a reference to last.
Bag erection.
No,
I've
no.
got.
No.
It's
this is a
It's not
reference to,
e-bag hard on, Kaiser. No, it's not that.
No. If you remember the program last week when we talked about
I'm trying to think.
Because it's actually that's what some people in Glasgow refer to that. I put it in the chat.
Alpha, you're almost right, but just answer correctly and you'll get it. Pack E Boner.
A Packy Bonner, Stoner.
Is everyone having as much fun as me?
I mean, it's challenging. I'll give you that. Not sure if that's for the right reasons.
Okay, let's just go for one more then. Give you a chance to redeem
It's
yourselves.
3-1 to them.
People are saying you're hopeless. Give us another random number.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair play.
Go on. Give us another number.
2.
2. Kaiser reckons he would dominate this game live. Okay, well, there's plenty of these, so that's fine. Number 2 is your one, which is this.
I don't know who the guy on the left is. I know that's Philip Clement, though.
Do
you know the guy
in the middle either?
You have to know the guy on the left.
Who
is he the same guy as the guy in the middle?
Yes, it is. Come on, you're a film buff. You should know him. Two famous acting brothers. One of them played.
Is he a Baldwin? Is he a Baldwin?
One of them played the dude.
From Big Lebowski.
Oh,
yes.
It's
the brother of the guy who played in the Big Lebowski.
Jeff Bridges. Not Jeff Bridges. What? Jeff Bridges' his brother.
Jeff Bridges' brother.
What's he called?
Who?
Pete.
Smell the Glove knows his name, so put it all together and come up with a Celtic player.
The guy's not called Bo Bridges, is he?
He is.
All right, Bobo Baldy. Very good.
Yes. Bobo Baldy.
Yep.
Oh dear. Maybe this isn't the best environment for this. These
well, I'm needing Dave to pick up the slack here because I'm being ruled out on age. How am I meant to know this Bo Bridges guy?
What do you mean?
Is he even alive still, Bo Bridges?
I got the Packy Bonner.
Packy Bonner, you got Bo Bridges, yeah. What do you mean? How do you not know Bo Bridges?
What's he been in? Name me a film.
Tons of movies, Fabulous Baker Boys and all.
The Fabulous Baker Boys, that's a show on Channel 4 about baking bread. To my generation.
Okay, to your generation. Maybe recognizable people would help. Not from the 40s, Gav, says Kaiser. Ah, dear. All right. Well, shall we wrap it up with that then? You want to do any more?
Well,
One
can I
more
just
for the
say,
people back home?
well done to the people in the comments section. They are by far and away better at this game than me,
certainly are.
particularly. But our only point came from David, so ashamed as all.
All right. Well, I'm going to put some of these out as tweets and see if people enjoy them anymore in that format. Amazing game, but he blames me. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Big Daz enjoyed it. All right. Okay. Well, I enjoyed doing them. And there's tons more where that came from. You'll be thrilled to hear. That's exciting, isn't it? Okay. A couple more points then. Just before we, I don't know what that means. Just before we wrap it up, did you see this? Kyogo talking about how he doesn't regret leaving Celtic.
Yeah, I think he probably said that before he'd sat in the bench about 3 or 4 games in a row the way.
Just wants to make an impact here, and if he plays well in France, hopefully he'll get the sign up. But he's struggling right now, and if he's not careful, it won't be long until playing at Celtic won't be used as the only excuse not to pick him for future national squads. It's sad to see, though, isn't it? I'm saddened by that.
It is, but it's this classic, the grass is not always greener on the other side. You know, I think people don't, you know, there's an element that sometimes you do get bored because it becomes your day-to-day. So there is a bit of that, and I understand it. But for Kyogo, he was moving to get that Japan first-team football, and he's arguably even further out the picture than he was. So, yeah, it is a shame for him, but he does have the quality to start. It might just be that the manager doesn't fancy him, because I know people have mentioned Matt O'Reilly in a similar situation. He's fallen completely off the grid for Brighton. But, you know, if we can do another Jota for either of those in the summer, let's go. I
mean, Matt O'Reilly, yeah, he's been injured, hasn't he?
No, he's been fit for a while. He's been fit for a while now.
Yeah. Martin Weir, we always Kyogo well, just wish he didn't sneak out the back door. Well, they all sneak out the back door in the end, don't they? Mostly players and certainly managers. That's for sure. Speaking of managers and players, possibly. Did you see this story? Oh. Simone Inzaghi keen on AJ to Inter.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was the Lyon manager that's been banned for 9 months for getting in the face of the referee. Because that was a big one. I didn't realize. I thought that was Fonseca, not Inzaghi. But no, I hadn't. I've been trying to avoid. We've got to be ready for this. I think we discussed it on the show maybe a couple of weeks ago, Gav. If we secure the treble, given the way that we played against Bayern Munich in the Champions League in general, there's a couple of people gunning for our players. So no surprise to hear anyone linked with some of our good players. So we just got to hope we don't lose too many, and the ones that we do lose, we get good money for and we replace well.
If you were a gambling man, who would you put money on us losing in the summer, much as you don't want it to happen?
I think AJ's a stick-on. I think AJ's probably a stick-on because his physicality, his athleticism, the fact that he did play well in multiple Champions League games. I think he's one. I think Kun is maybe a danger if he can kind of pick up form. And my outside one, and people aren't going to want to hear it, Maeda. I think Maeda against Bayern and in the Champions League in general, there'll be a good few teams that play pressing football that will want him as an asset to that sort of arsenal. His height might be the thing that kind of keeps him out, which is the one. But I think AJ, CCV are probably very saleable assets, I would say.
Can I just say, because I think this I think there's a lot of people watching this looking for scoops about who our best players are, and I think we shouldn't forget that Scales was the defender of the tournament in the Champions League a while back.
Man of the match award.
I think that Taylor has been. He's been scouted by Italian legends to go to Bucharest or Budapest or whatever it is. So I think the two people that we need to be most scared of losing in the next transfer window for me would be Scales and Taylor. I think that would worry me greatly.
Yeah, Hatate is all the talk, isn't he? Well, at least some people are reporting that, including your man. What's his name from the record?
McGowan? No.
Jackson.
Yeah. Keith Jackson. He's talking about how, Hatate will go and Lennon Miller will come in.
So then you're telling me that Keith Jackson has taken time off from writing endless articles about the takeover of Rangers and how it's going to revolutionise football, blah, blah, blah. He's taking time off to write something about Celtic. That doesn't seem like him. I wonder if he's feeling all right.
Dripping in sarcasm, as always. Well, look, let's wrap it up there. That was an amazing quiz. I mean, just fantastic. I'm so glad I did that. Went down an absolute storm. Maybe it was just because it's new and it takes a while to get our feet under the table. Kaiser is very keen to be on to play, so we'll make sure he gets on one of the next couple of shows and shows us what a legend he is at it, because he reckons that he was made for that game.
What Kaiser doesn't know is you would just pick especially difficult ones for him.
I'm not picking anything. It's randomized. It's randomized. So I hope that cheered you up a little, Tam Mac, and aid your recovery. Those little teasers. If any of you do follow us on Twitter, watch out. I'll be putting those out to see if the people on Twitter are any better at them. Maybe when it's not live and there's no time constraints, you can sit and rub your chin a bit and get it right over a nice cup of tea. But I will accompany it with the video of you two struggling hopelessly. I don't mind.
Thanks. Anything you can do to make me look good, Gav, that's much appreciated.
That's my objective at all times. So thanks indeed to everyone watching. As always, send us your pictures, remember, of you in your Celtic top or your Celtic pets, whatever you want, and we'll just put them all together as a big sort of composite for the worldwide CSC. Olasanya, says Brian, on the ball as ever. I think he's probably just started watching. All right then. We'll leave it there. Until the next one. Farewell.
See you in Bangkok next week. Cheers.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.